First of all, you're very replaceable at work. And that comes in hand with, like, if you have a business while actually working full time, there needs to be a balance for both of them to prosper. It's really weird. Like, I enjoyed business money, but work money feels different. You were making something like silly, like 3K profit.
Where's the barrier for like unreasonable demand? People go to Airbnb expecting hotel experience and attentiveness.
They're two different things. Balance is not going to happen when you're growing your business. And that's just a fact. That if you want to grow your business within a short amount of time, but a realistic amount of time, balance is not going to come into play. If you are okay waiting 7 years to get your first 100,000 in the bank, then balance is going to be just fine. It all comes down to what you're trying to achieve and how fast. Welcome to the Property Project podcast, where we talk all things property, but also help you to resolve some of the dilemmas that you come up with.
But before you do that, we'd love if you could help us by liking the video, subscribing to our channel so you could get more content from us. So, another dilemma. I've just had a guest stay at one of our service accommodations who was extremely demanding, complaining about small issues, asking for refunds, and threatening to leave a bad review. I want to keep my ratings up, but I don't want to give in to unreasonable demands. How should I handle this?
Depends how much they're giving you.
What do you mean?
Depends how much you're giving.
But they're staying at the moment.
Depends how much are they staying for? Because, like, again, something we can relate to. We had a similar situation with a guest who, like, literally as soon as she touched down, was complaining about everything, and mind you, left the house in a worse state. After we had repaired everything that she complained about, she left the house in a worse state. So she wasn't tidy herself.
So you would have thought, when she was complaining, you would have thought that she was basically a clean freak.
Yeah, but she's not. She said she was, but she was not. I'm so sorry. But my point with that is that from that booking alone, each month that they stayed, we were making something like silly, like 3K profit. Yeah. Just from her. So yes, I would spend $1,000. If I've made 9K from her, I'd probably spend $1,000 doing up whatever she wanted us to do. Yeah. Because I'd rather you stay in there than me make a fuss about the things that are not really worth. Like, it all depends. Like, if a guest is there for 3 nights and they're asking for £800 worth of stuff to be done, probably not the best thing. Like, you're just gonna have to risk that review.
So where's the barrier for like unreasonable demand? Because like, there's some unreasonable things that we've kind of bow down to, unreasonable demand.
Like painting a wall.
Not a wall, a whole hallway, which spans over 3 levels, by the way. But in all fairness, with that one, that is something that when we was getting ready, we had planned to do anyway. But it's just the way that we had to do it was just very frustrating. But yeah, where is the barrier for unreasonable demands? Because is it the number of demands that they make, or is it the severity? Like, do you know what I mean? Because we just had someone stay in one of our properties who was saying the same thing over and over again. So where do you feel that?
I feel like it all comes down to customer experience. So it's like, fine, they might be making all these reckless and unfounded demands, but the main thing is how you treat them as people, is how they will respond to the review. So for example, I didn't necessarily agree with the stuff that this customer was ranting and raving about, considering, like, you've got to remember, as an Airbnb guest, like, you're not the first person to enter that property and you will not be the last. So there are going to be wear and tear things that we cannot control, because we have a checkout at 10 a.m. and somebody checking in at 3 p.m. and fixing something that's going to take us 2 days, like paint work or something, because, you know, you can't check in with loads of paint fumes, can you? I can't do that in a short space of time. So there's certain things that you've got to be mindful as an Airbnb
or like
guest.
A sofa clean.
Or a sofa clean, because someone's put their nasty bum cheeks on the sofa and left an imprint. I can't do anything about that in 2 hours before you check in, or 4 hours before you check in, but it probably is on my list of things to do. But I just think that even though that is the case, I can't expect an Airbnb guest or booking.com guest to understand the behind the scenes, because that's not their job. So sometimes it's just about biting your tongue and saying, is it biting your tongue or biting your lip? I think biting your lip is a bit more sexual.
You can bite your lip if you want.
Bite your tongue. You sometimes you just got to bite your tongue. And not necessarily give in to the demands, but provide a solution to the demands, if that makes sense. For example, the guest that was complaining in one of our properties, instead of I sent over the cleaners to do what we felt could be done. But the things that I just knew, listen, we're not going to have enough hours, especially while you're in the property, to get it done. We just paid partly for a dinner that they had out. They were going to go and get pizzas, and it was going to be 3 of them going for a night out, and we just contributed £40 to that bill. Yeah. And they enjoyed that. I can't say we're going to prevent a bad score, but what I know is that I'm not going to get nothing. On Booking.com, it's out of 10. On Airbnb, it's out of 5 in terms of the reviews. So on Booking.com, we probably won't get anything less than a 7 because of what we've done. Because then human guilt comes in.
No, but you expect that.
You expect that, but that
sometimes there are some people that just aren't human, in my opinion. No, honestly, like, I do think that sometimes there's been people that we have done things for that we would never actually, like, we would never advise someone else to do, and then they've come back and then actually scored us like something like ridiculous, like a 3 out of 10 or something. And complaining, and in their complaint they've put all the negative things, but none of the ways that we've, you know, like, I don't know, just sorted out their issues or whatever.
That's usually via Booking.com as well. So I feel like guest reviews,
there's different types of.
You can challenge. Like, I had a guest that I was literally going back and forth with, because, you know, another thing that guests get upset with, and, you know, I'll wrap this up quite quickly as well. It's just that when they've done something wrong and you charge them for what they've done wrong, it makes them like flip the script. Like, they are so upset, even though they should be upset at themselves and not us, because we've clearly stated what our house rules are. You've signed that, you've seen it on our listing, you know that we will take security deposits if certain things aren't followed, so you can't get upset when you've not followed those things. And we're not harsh. The things that people take deposits for forks being taken, or we don't do that,
towels being taken,
we actually don't do that, because we are those guests. Like, we are folding things away and taking it, like, bro, like
no, most of the time by accident.
Yes,
do you know what I mean? Like,
but even still, whether it's an accident or even on purpose, like, you're going there like a hotel, you might not realize actually it's not something you're supposed to do, because in the movies that's what's acceptable, is that you go there, you take the shower stuff with you, and like, no one really explains what the actual etiquette is when you go to Airbnbs or hotels.
People go to Airbnb expecting hotel experience and attentiveness, and it's like the whole
they're two different things.
That's not what Airbnb was originally made for.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Exactly. So I do think, like, just to kind of round off, like, you're never gonna be able to stop a review, but my tips around that is that Airbnb are really good with challenging reviews where the guest has done something wrong and you can prove that the guest has done something wrong, and they will remove it because they feel like it's not a balanced review. Whereas with Booking.com, you don't stand a chance.
I feel like, again, even going on, because I was gonna talk about the tips that you should give as well, but again, I feel like you always put yourself ahead when, if a guest is being difficult, notifying. Obviously, Airbnb, as you said, like, Airbnb is much easier than Booking.com. But I feel like even still, regardless of what platform it is, it always does kind of put you ahead. Basically, snitching first.
Definitely.
If you snitch
we all
first,
know what happens when you snitch first.
If you snitch first, just
you
be
get
like,
the best
listen,
result.
They're doing that. I don't want anything done right now. But I'm just letting you know.
It's like when you make a 101 call. Sometimes you don't want the police to do anything, but you just want to tip them off and let them know maybe we might need you. And the same rule applies with Airbnb and Booking.com. You just give them a little heads up that you're having some challenges. You don't want them to notify the guests just yet, but it would be helpful for them to know this information. So that's pretty much what I'd explain on that, and hopefully that helps you guys.
So, moving on.
Yes.
We're going to talk about the fine art of work-life balance, because this is something that just goes on. Like, what is work-life balance? Like, how do you? There's no such thing. There's literally, people talk about things. Do you think
I admire. Listen, I know that there are people at work. There have been in all the various workplaces I've been to. There's always that one person at work that don't play. As soon as their end time comes, laptop closed or keys handed back or till cashed up, whatever their end task is to be done, it is done by that time that they are supposed to finish work. And they do not business. Every workplace I've been to, I've found somebody who's like, if I finish at 5, don't be calling me at 5.
Do you think that fosters a good work team relationship?
Well, yes, it should do, because that's somebody putting in their boundaries.
It should do, but does it though?
I think it depends on who you are. Personally, I'm not bothered what time you finish. I'm not bothered what time you go on your lunch break. But if it inconveniences somebody else, then I think that's not good teamwork. That shouldn't inconvenience someone else, because What are you smiling?
No, sorry. Do you know? So I was just thinking about literally just as you were saying.
Yeah.
I remember when I was working in a previous role, there was someone who, regardless, so our shifts were like 7 to 3, 3 to 11, and then 11 to 7 the night shift, right? Regardless of what happens, this guy is turning up on the dot. Yeah. No later, no earlier.
Perfect.
Yeah. When it comes to his break time, and this was like a point where we kind of fostered the working relationship that you just take working breaks or working lunchtime, working meal breaks, shall we say. So we will have our food at the desk but we're still obviously working and doing what we're doing. This guy will cut off all communication.
Good.
He's gone in the back.
Good.
And he's like, do not disturb me. Normally, even before for us, like it would be a thing where if we've taken our break, but we know that the radio's going off or something's happening, we'll come back and be like, do you need us? This guy is nowhere to be seen. This guy's gone for his
milk. And you guys knew it, right?
Say again.
You guys knew it, so you never disturbed or went against that for him, right?
No, we didn't.
Exactly.
But at the same time, we did kind of say like, right, like I can't believe my man's just letting us kind of suffer.
That's you people problem.
No, of course. That's
actually not his
that's
problem.
Why I asked,
which is why he acts the way he acts. Why he act like that. That's why he act like that. That's exactly why.
I get that. But then it's at the same time, I'm not going to lie, because the role was quite challenging, that sometimes you are thankful if someone does come and say to you, right, do you know what? Do you need me? Let me cut my break short. Where do you need me? What do you need me to help with?
Yeah.
So if you're going to do that, understand if no one's coming to your rescue when it's your turn, you cannot be mad.
But would he ask for that though?
He wouldn't. Not.
So then,
see, it's kind of difficult. It's kind of difficult because I feel like that person was set in their ways. If I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. Very set in his ways. So he has a regime, and I don't think that's.
So does he have autism? Possibly. Okay.
Possibly.
Okay.
So I feel like he wouldn't just go and ask for like help. Do you know what I mean? He would just kind of deal. He would deal with the situation at hand.
Okay.
But then he's also, in doing that, he's not dealing with the situation because he needs help. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I still feel like that's okay.
Yeah.
I feel like, see that
there was a part. Sorry to cut, but there was a part of me that could understand both sides. I do understand that. Right, you know what? I bet his work-life balance is good because he has his break, and the reason why a lot of us were so stressed and everything like that was because we never actually had breaks.
Exactly.
So I could get it. I personally never got onto him for that, but a lot of people did, and
it's wrong that people did though. I would actually be honest, because even me with my work, I actually forgot to say in one of the updates that I'm actually back to work, which is hell, but all for good reason and will make sense with everything that we have to share.
Yeah.
It's nice having like
stuff to share.
No, like work money again. It's really weird. Like I enjoyed business money, but work money feels different. It's so weird. But anyways,
or different when you're not just depending on it, but you're
when you don't need it. Work money feels so good when you don't need it. I'll be honest with you, because I literally said to Sean the other day, these lot are acting up. They're lucky if I just hand my paper and be like, "Don't be silly. Just take my laptop." Don't
then they start muttering, and you're like, "What would you say?
What did you say?"
And then like, nothing. Yeah. That's what I thought.
Literally. Shut up. So, yeah, I feel like even that though, it's like being at work and just coming out of work for 6 months and then going back into the workplace. And I just think, why do you guys act like this? Like, I'm looking around and like, they're like, oh, we haven't taken our lunch break. I'm like, that's on you. That's on you. That's got nothing to do with me. I'm taking my lunch break because you're not going to pay me more. So now I understand like the idea of like your work. First of all, you're very replaceable at work. When I left, I didn't hear nobody crying about me going. Do you know what I mean? Like in terms of after, like, please come back. We can't fill the role. That's not going to happen. They're going to fill the role and it's going to be done with what it needs to be done. But also, it's kind of like, outside of you being replaceable, you perform the best when you are managing work properly as well. And that comes in hand with like, if you have a business actually working full time, there needs to be a balance for both of them to prosper.
So then if you're talking about balance now, you're talking about, it's easy because you're talking about work and home. what about in terms of business for
yeah.
us? So like, again, with business, technically we're at home, or if we're not at home, we don't have an office. So our office is at home. So pretty much if we're not at home working, we're on the road together or whatever.
Yeah.
But we could be on the road from as early as 6 a.m. or as late as 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So how do we have that kind of work balance in a day?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Do you know
I would say balance is not going to happen when you're growing your business. And that's just a fact. That if you want to grow your business within a short amount of time, but a realistic amount of time, balance is not going to come into play.
Yeah.
If you are okay waiting 7 years to get your first 100,000 in the bank, then balance is going to be just fine. It all comes down to what you're trying to achieve and how fast. And I do think that sometimes that's why people are hesitant to get into business while they are working a full-time job. I can say I forgot how hard it was working a full-time job and business because I've been off for what feels like a long time.
Yeah.
But going back in, I have capital struggled. Like my business relationships, I can't speak to people because I'm so tired from speaking to people at work. To come back after hours and speak to more people, I'm just like, please.
I was gonna say that must be very difficult for you, personally, because again, for me, like I've been balancing obviously the business and work consistently since we started.
Yeah.
Do you know? Or even at the beginning, I was off long-term sick when we started the business.
Yeah.
So again, it was like a thing where I had all that time to kind of do what I needed to do.
Yep.
But then we was kind of thinking, how's that going to work when I get back? And ever since then, I've been balancing the work and business at the same time.
Yeah.
So I kind of found a way for me to engage and disengage when I need to. You've had that thing of like, you was kind of trying to work out a balance at the beginning. Then you got to a point, we grew to a point where you actually don't need to be in this role anymore.
Not even that. I felt like I was making dangerous mistakes at work.
Oh yeah, that was another
like,
thing as well.
I have to leave now. I had to commit to one or the other. Either I stopped doing stuff with the business and I focus on work.
One was hindering the other.
Yeah, but one of them had to go.
Yeah,
and I did not mind choosing work at the time.
Yeah, so you had that you had that point there.
Yeah.
And then you went into a point where, okay, you're focusing solely on the business now because you don't need to actually work.
That was really fun. I enjoyed that.
I can only imagine. I'm not gonna lie, I want to get there.
Yeah, it was so fun. You missed out.
Yeah,
you will enjoy it once it comes.
And then obviously you've had to readjust and get back to it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I do understand how that's very difficult because again, I've just consistently been doing it. With you, it's just like...
And our hours are pretty different. I feel like the nice thing about yours and why it works again is because your hours are condensed because of... And that's not just happened overnight. You've had to work to get to that space within your company for those kind of hours to be... Because you used to work disgusting hours.
Yeah.
Like I used to hate the hours you work. Now I'm just kind of like... The worst hours for you are your nights.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Outside of that, all your other hours are actually really decent.
Yeah.
But I think what I'm struggling with is like having to know that I need to get back into the habit of waking up at 5, answering and doing emails and before work, going to work, in my lunch breaks, answering stuff. Do you know what? I don't even wait. When I'm in the office, I know they're going to chat rubbish about me being on my phone. I'm constantly on my phone.
Yeah.
But they also can't chat rubbish because I'm still submitting the work that needs to be submitted and it's always done on time. If you're doing the job,
that literally don't tell me about how I'm doing it.
They will raise it because the other day I actually thought they were talking about me when I came through the door.
Really?
But I was so... what's the woman from Everybody Hates Chris? I don't need this job. My man got 2 jobs. I was so like that I just thought whatever, bitch, what you got a bitch about.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like I do understand from their perspective. I'm here to do a job and I'm here to commit to that job.
Yeah.
And for the first time ever in any role that I've been in whilst having a business, I told them before, like, oh yeah, I run a business. I minimized it because I didn't want them to kind of find me anywhere online. But like I was like, yeah, I'm running a business and like, yeah, just kind of started. But I just feel like it is very hard and we do underestimate, the 9-to-5ers who are saying like, how do you actually run a business whilst committing to your full-time job that you know is giving you the consistent money and allowing you stability. How do you do that? I think it's a valid question, and I don't think we're ever going to have the answer, because I can give you tips.
That's what I was going to say. Tips, like, what are the tips that we've put in place to kind of navigate that?
I feel like...
Or navigate around that.
I would say tips that have worked before, because I'm still in the space of re-navigating again. Like, I'm struggling to do what I did before now that I've been exposed to a different life. But I would say it is mainly around the hours that you're not at work, utilizing those hours. You're not going to sleep. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, you're going to be tired. The way we sleep, remember, I used to be such a light sleeper. Mate, I'm out. I'm cold. Like, I'm out. And
knocked out.
You know what I mean? We're still, like, if anything, if there's a sound or whatever, like, we can still hear those things. Yeah. But it used to take me, like, probably 30, 40 minutes to get to sleep. Now, my head touches the pillow, and I'm like, damn, it's 6 a.m. When did that happen? So it's like, I feel you're going to have to use the hours outside of work that are available to you, whether that be your lunch break, whether that be your 15-minute break that's at 10:30, whether that be 5 to 7 where you're not doing anything in the morning, whether that be your 6 till 9 time where in the evening after you finish work, whatever hours those hours look like, that's what you're going to have to commit to. And that's the biggest tip. You're going to have to utilize the hours where you're not working your 9 to 5, because that's going to be the only way to do it. Yeah. That's my main tip for that.
I feel like one of the tips was kind of similar as well. It's just that, naturally, the work hours are like 9 to 5, and you kind of want to shut off like from business like after 5 o'clock or whatever, or maybe even earlier if you can do that. But there are times where things are going to happen and they're going to need your attention. I feel like actively between the hours of like 9 and 5, what one thing that we've done, or we're trying to do as well, not trying to do, because we're trying to stop saying trying.
Yeah.
One thing that we are looking to implement is between the hours of 9 to 5 actually being focused on the business. Yeah. Right? Like, so I'm more on my business phone more than my personal phone. But then once it comes 5 o'clock, I'm not gonna lie, like it's my personal phone time. Like my business phone will stay on the side. If something urgent has happened, and again, unless it needs my input, it can actually wait. Or if I've seen it, then I might reply to it. If not, it's not going to be at the forefront of my mind. Do you know what I mean? And that's why I think since doing that, I've allowed myself time to enjoy like my downtime, or enjoy, like, I might, we watch a Netflix, or we watch a movie, or watch the football that's on, or whatever. We can enjoy that now. Yeah. Before, it was a point where all till 9, 10, 11 o'clock, I'm just focused on the business, and I'm doing in on the business, and it's like as well. It gets to a point where it's hard to then switch off from that. How do you then switch off and then go to sleep?
We'd be trying to watch a film to go to sleep or something, and Sean will literally be tapping on that phone. Like, one thing about me, after 6, and again, I don't know if it's ADHD brain, like, my brain can't do anything else. Like,
no, but unless you start early though. You start early. I don't start as early as you.
Yeah, so I always say that my time's normally that 6 o'clock time, and then I probably will stop about 7 o'clock. But then Sean is literally like probably 12 till about 10. So
that's even being nice.
Yeah, and honestly depends. Like, there will be days where he goes over that, but like that's usually his hours. But I just can't wait for us to be in a space where it's like you said, like typically it's going to be that 8 till 6 where we're so focused on the business, and then everything outside of that is just like our personal time or responding back to friends. Like, I've seen friends' messages over the last couple of weeks from starting work again, and I cannot respond. I cannot bring myself to respond. Yeah. Because I'm just so tired from everything else.
You're just mentally drained from everything else because you've been splitting your time and your attention on things that aren't to do with the business. Yeah. And then now when it comes to you actually needing to use your brain to do that, you ain't got the time no more.
Yeah, exactly that.
What would you say is like the personal benefits of getting the work, the balance right, and some of the effects of getting it wrong?
Okay, the positives of that is peace. Yeah. Like, I feel like, and on the flip side of that, so I feel like peace is the biggest thing. Once you get the work-life balance in place, or business and work in place, you feel peaceful. You've got structure. You know exactly what falls into what place. You know exactly what times you're spending in things.
You're less anxious.
And you're less nervous. And the flip of that is that when you don't have that structure, you are so anxious. Like, I have not responded to so many things. And I just feel so bad for one. But number two, it's like, I'm very nervous all the time. Because it's just like, I know I should have responded to that message. That message in my head was only yesterday, but now thinking back, that message was sent 5 days ago and I still haven't responded. And so it's things like that. So I think one of the benefits of having structure is obviously you don't have that worry.
Yeah.
But when you don't have that structure, you are very anxious about it.
I think also as well, like when you are nervous and everything like that, you then because in business things are always going to go wrong, but your capacity to deal with those problems, when you're anxious and you're nervous and everything like that, you don't deal, like, not you personally, but like I was saying, naturally a person won't deal with that well.
Yeah.
But then when you're in a space where you're at peace because you know that, like, your balance is just like right.
Yeah.
Then you're able to kind of deal with any issues, or sometimes issues don't even seem as deep to you as they would have if you were stressed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're able to deal with situations more positively, I'd say.
Yeah. And I think the main thing is making sure that you get time to yourself at home. And I know that, like, one of the things that you were mentioning, it's just like how to switch off from the business.
Yeah.
And I think this is more for you to answer yourself, because I feel like I switch off from the business, but the downside to that is that by doing that, I always do feel anxious that I'm not working on business.
Yeah.
But for you, like, talking to yourself and encouraging yourself to switch off from the business, what kind of tips would you give yourself to stop like not having that boundary with business going over times that it shouldn't go over?
I always tell myself, in the time that I'm not on my phone or not involved, or not working on the business, no one's gonna die. Like, literally no one's. And this is more so in the service accommodation business, where you have to be speaking to people. Like, honestly, if someone, my worst thought would always be, if I don't respond straight away, something bad is gonna happen. And then I actually sat down and thought to myself, what's the worst that can actually happen?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there's been so many times where I've been on the other side, something hasn't worked, like the hot tub or something, like, or something like, we're not getting hot water, and we've had to wait till the morning.
Yeah.
Fair. We just deal with it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So for me, I feel like, literally, when you put your phone down, again, not even like, if you're not working on the business, it doesn't actually matter. A lot of people and social media will always tell you, oh yeah, you need to be 100% working on the business. You shouldn't have time for games, or you shouldn't have time for, if you're watching Netflix, you're doing things wrong or something like that. But I'm not gonna lie, you need balance. You need that. If that's how you recharge, if that's how you reset, that you might want to watch a little bit of trash TV, or you might want to consume playing games, or you want to do whatever. Everything's about balance. If you're doing that too much, then too much of anything is going to be bad for you. Do you know what I mean? But if that's how you recharge, and you're going to set out an hour, or maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours for you to go and do that and de-stress or whatever, then that's fine. That's completely fine, as long as you have every intention to come back to where you left off. Do you know what I mean? That's what I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's
so helpful. I think that's it.
I think that's very helpful. I mean, I'm sure there'll be more tips as I go on.
Like, learning.
My job role, but I don't anticipate being there long. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
If they're watching it, I anticipate being there very long. But yeah, I don't.
You want to climb through the business.
Yeah.
Or the
they're all talking to me about what's it called?
Christmas.
No, career growth.
Oh,
progression is how they put it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just can't wait to be a CP chair. Thinking in my head, girl, you know you lie. You know you're lying, okay? And I did have those aspirations before. Like, I really wanted to be like, if you don't know what a CP chair is, a child protection chair, and it's somebody who does the overview for, like, when parents and children come into contact with children's services. You kind of, you are the person enforcing whether or not it needs to progress and escalate or not.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to do that role for the longest. I wanted to do that for specifically children in care. There's two kind of versions of that role, and you can do it for children in care, or you can do it for families who've just come into the service and need additional support. So I wanted to do the children in care version, but I now look at it and be like, no thanks.
No thanks.
No thanks.
I think as well, like even for myself, like it's always been, I wanted to progress in the company.
Yeah.
And I got to a point where I got into the industry in the company that I wanted to be in, the section or sector, sorry. But then it got to a point where it's like, obviously when we started the business and now a lot of my attention was on that, a lot of people would ask me, do you want to do this or do you want to do that? So for example, for me, it would be like going off to being a controller, which is like controller of the line, right? And it's like
I was going to say the reason you're late, but...
I feel like, do you know what?
Not you. What do you mean? Don't bite back.
Are you sure?
No, I was going to add but then I thought, no, that's your place of work.
Yeah,
and I can't do that.
Yeah,
so
don't do that.
Don't do that.
But yeah, like literally, like people ask me, do you not want to go for that role or whatever? And it's like, I'm not going to lie, if you asked me this 5 years ago, I would have been all over that. I've had opportunities to go and do that, but it doesn't work for me especially because of the work-life balance. My hours are very short.
Yeah,
they are intense, but my hours are very short, and it allows me to do what I need to do in the business. So I will remain, if you know me, I'll remain there as long as I can. It's not impacting. Do you know what I mean? But as soon as it starts to impact, when you said like you had to make that decision to either leave one or the other, and obviously you weren't going to choose work. Do you know what I mean? So that'll be the same for me. But yeah, man,
that's pretty much how we balance it. Do you know what sleep has come over me?
It's crazy.
I don't know what's wrong.
Because I just saw like anyway. Yes, we'll cut it there. Peace. Thank you for watching to the end, guys. We really appreciate it. As a little thank you gift to you, we'd like to give you an invite to join our free WhatsApp community where we drop a lot of gems.
If you're still watching, then thank you so much. But more importantly, if you could like and subscribe to this channel to help us bring you more content that we know you'll just love.